irrational fans. Talking Canucks and BC Lions. Use sports podcast. We're taking the lead, analyzing the game from the rink to the field. From the ice to the turf, we'll break it down. Discussing every win and every loss in town. We'll talk about the Canucks and the Lions. We are your irrational fans. We are your irrational fans.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 141 of the Hughes Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jake Hughes, normally alongside the old man. However, the old man has taken some time off, some well-deserved time off. We talked about it last week. He is in somewhere. I think it's Dominican Republic, maybe Costa Rica, somewhere warm and sunny where he has no internet, no access to anything. So you guys are just stuck with me today. I did reach out to a few people, see if they could get them on the show. Wasn't able to do it, so we're going to do a little bit of a quicker version of the show this week. Yeah, it is what it is, and appreciate you guys commenting in, creating that conversation going. But yeah, let's get right into it because we've had a pretty crazy week when it comes to the terms of news within the Vancouver Canucks. And the biggest elephant in the room, we've been talking about it for a while, is Quinn Hughes. Elliot Friedman kind of laid it out on Sunday headlines on Saturday night that the New Jersey Devils, where Quinn's brothers both play, had reached out and had conversations. Those rumors don't appear to be going anywhere, and throughout this week has actually been people have been doubling down on it. With Detroit being another top runner in the conversation for this. Now, I think it's going to be a tough thing to be able to trade Quinn Hughes partway through this season. I understand the season has not been going well for us. We as the Canucks are 32nd in the league in both points and point percentage at 11, 16, and 3. The issues I see, I mean, there's so many issues, is will this regime have the possibility of making this change? It's a question I've seen a handful of other pundits ask, and I think it'd be shocking to see that. It would be shocking to me to see a change in regime after they had given Jim Benning, Francesco Aquilini, the ownership group, had given Francesco Aquilini so many. Jim Benning, so many opportunities to fix and turn this team around. But we are in year 4 of the Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin regime, and nothing's really changed. We are, again, 32nd in the league. We have had one total successful season, really, and our star, the star player for this team, is considering leaving at the end of this contract, and I don't blame him. I mean, he wants to win. He wants to play with his brothers. Can he win and play with his brothers in Vancouver? No. Can he win in Vancouver if he's willing to sit through a rebuild? Because that's inevitably what we have to do here. We don't have the team to be able to create the turnaround, the quick turnaround that a Quinn Hughes would want to be in. And the fact that it's, I mean, again, we're 9 days away from the roster freeze, and these types of conversations are happening. It's still mind-boggling to me after 2 years ago where we were. But look, I don't think there should be any players that the Vancouver Canucks have that aren't available. There's every single player should be available for this from this organization, and if they're not, it's got to be a Lekkerimäki, a Hughes, if he's willing to resign, a Wielander, kind of the next group up, the 20-year-olds, the 22-year-olds max. I know we just signed Brock Besser. What did we sign Brock Besser to? You'd think would have had this up. But I believe, 7-year deal. 7-year deal. Ideally, I mean, he's got a no movement clause, but if he's not wanting to be around and experience a rebuild, I wouldn't be surprised if he's moved. Obviously, at a time in which it's kind of, hey, like, this is once it's decided that we're going full rebuild, a conversation got to be had with a lot of these Vancouver Canucks players that are signed to longer term deals that maybe they don't want to stick around for a rebuild, like Petey, Brock, DeBrusk, Garland. I mean, a Garland I could still see being a big piece that's moved, which is unfortunate because I think the world of Connor Garland. But these are players signed until 2031 or 2032 right now. So same with Hronek and Marcus Pettersson, right? There's going to be these players that, look, you're hitting 29, you're hitting 30 in the next couple of years for most of these guys. Do you want to be here for a full rebuild and help shape the roster and be that veteran presence, or is it better if we find somewhere else for you? And I think that really sucks. But as I was talking about, is Francesco Aquilini and the ownership group going to give this regime a chance to make these trades and right the ship? Because as per Jason Bruff on Sportsnet 650 earlier today, they were talking that he was talking that from what he's hearing, and there's nothing imminent, nothing for sure happening, but from what he's hearing is that there's rumblings of regime change throughout the halls of Rogers. So it's one of those things that I don't blame ownership at looking at it, but at the same time, if ownership is saying we need to win, we need to make playoffs, at what point is it management or owner's fault that the team is this way, right? Like, again, we've talked about it, and I don't want to beat this dead horse every single week, but we have to, because if it's not ownership putting on, like, saying we need to win all the time and consistently compete for a playoff spot, then yes, management needs to go and we need to rebuild. But if it's this ownership group that's saying, look, we need the playoff revenue, we need the money as much as possible, whether you get a new management group in or not, it's not going to change how this organization functions. And the key pieces to this is you need to tear this organization down to the studs. Yes, you've got Pettersson, Besser, DeBrusk, Hronek, Pettersson signed long term, and you've got Lankinen signed until 2030. So that's what, 3, 4, 5, 6 players signed long term. You've got Demko until the end of 29. Other than that, and you've got Garland until 2030. So you got what, 4 forwards, 2 defensemen, 6 and 7 players signed decently long term, 8 if you include Demko. And that's great. That's your core moving forward of a rebuild. But they can't be leaned on to play the amount of hours, the amount of minutes that these guys are playing right now if you want to play the youth and, in all honesty, tank and get a Gavin McKenna. Like, right now, you're in a perfect position to turn the season and say, look, we're going to trade everyone. Like I said, Garland, we know Sherwood's name's out there, and it sounds like there's a pretty return possible for, or what they're asking for Sherwood. If Hughes is 3/4 of the way out, do you trade him and turn that into more assets that you can use to rebuild? Like, the big thing is, I don't want to see from this management and ownership group is the short-sightedness that we've seen year in and year out from the Vancouver Canucks, 55 years of it, where we're trading Kiefer Sherwood for a good roster player and a good roster player and a older prospect. Like that would to me would be a disappointing return from a Kiefer Sherwood. I would much rather get a okay roster player just to fill a right wing gap or a center gap, even, and a first overall pick. That's what's rumored is what they're asking is a first round pick plus a good roster player. I would be very ecstatic with that. I'd be happier with a first round pick and a prospect, to be completely honest. But we know this organization is going to be constantly looking to make win now moves with a roster that is not winning. Like I'm looking this up here. Our goal differential right now is minus 23. And there's only two teams below us in that goal differential. And that's the Predators and St. Louis Blues. And the reason our goal differential is, in my opinion, as good as it is because when we're winning games, it's on the back of really good goaltending performances. Which reminds me, I do want to talk about Tolopilo because him coming in and performing the way he has in the relief positions he's needed to be in, especially with the way Kevin Lankinen has played, the injuries to Thatcher Demko, it's a really good sign. Again, let me look this up. How old is Tolopilo? Goaltenders. Where did he go? Because he's here. Tolopilo. He's 25. So, I mean, we still got if you hold on to him and I mean, you'd have to move on from one of Lankinen or Demko or both. You hold on to him long term. You've got another 6, 7, 8 years where he's still could be in his prime, right? I'm hopeful for that. I think he's really good. I think he could be the stopgap during our rebuild of a good goaltender, or you could also flip him for assets. Right? Like again, we're talking a rebuild here. Do you let him play himself into a position where teams are looking for a young goalie and are willing to give up some draft pieces, some draftable pieces, some young prospects? A lot of different ways you go with Nikita Tolopilo. All depending on what your plan is with Demko and Lankinen. Demko's got a no movement clause that doesn't kick in until next year. Kevin Lankinen's got a new no movement clause until 27-28, and then it's a modified no trade clause with 15 teams throughout the remaining of the years, from my understanding. So there's a lot of moving pieces with this team, and it's getting to a point where I'm expecting a big move, but I don't know if we're going to be seeing a big move in this organization because the December 19th roster freeze is, again, 9 days away. So we've got one more show here before the end of that. And we have the one more home game, which is tomorrow, I believe, against the Buffalo Sabres. And then we're on the road on the 14th and 16th, and then the 19th we play a game, so it has to be done before any roster moves has to be done before midnight December 19th. So as far as regime changes, I don't think we're going to see that until the new year, if that does happen. But roster moves have to be done before midnight on December 19th, and the Canucks are out east until the 27th of December. So I guess they probably fly home on the 22nd because they play Monday the 22nd, and then their next game isn't until the 27th. But lots of moving pieces, lots of things going on. This team, we've talked about it, and again, I feel like this is a dead horse that we're beating, but this team is hard to watch. The crowd, the environment is starting to feel that, and it's not an environment where we've seen in past years where it's fire Gillis, firebending, sell the team, people chanting, people still at the games. It's becoming much more apathetic. And as pathetic as this team is on the ice, the apathy is growing in the fan base. And I wish I had the answer, because it's hard for me to watch most of these games, mostly because it's just hard to watch a game, a team that you love, and most years you're excited for. It's hard to have them disappoint you. For me, like, I'm 30. They've been disappointing me for 30 years, but really, like, this issue has been going on for 15 years almost. Right? Like 2011, 2012. Let's say 12 years. Decade plus, that this team has needed to make a decision on where to go, and keep appearing to learn the wrong lessons along the way. And it's become so frustrating as a fan, because I want to be on this show. I want to be here every week talking about how fantastic it is and all these crazy moves and the excitement, and we're gearing up for like a playoff push. And right now we're already starting, like, I'm already starting to look at playoff odd, or not playoff odds, but draft odds, that's from Tankathon. And it's like, right now we have a 25.5%, like, if the season ended right now, we'd have a 25.5% chance at picking first. Like, like, if the season ends right now, we'd get a top 3 pick guaranteed. Almost guaranteed. It's insane. Like, it's absolutely, the fact that it's like, the fact that it's a possibility, and a real possibility, is mind-blowing to me. It's one of those, it hurts. It physically hurts, the fact that when I go into Tankathon and I hit the button 10 times, we get the first or second pick 8 out of 10 times. Like, it's getting to a point where we have to legitimately think that Gavin McKenna on this team is more of a reality than Quinn Hughes being on this team next year. And that's wild. Gavin McKenna, I wish I knew how to handicap things and go to a betting book, and ask them to price that out for me. What are the odds? And I'm going to ask the old man this next week, and I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on this too. What are the odds that Gavin McKenna is a Vancouver Canuck, and Quinn Hughes is not, this time next year? December 2026. What are the odds that Gavin McKenna is a Canuck and Quinn Hughes isn't? If I said this at the beginning of the year, you guys would be laughing at me. I would have been, the old man would have said something like this, and I would have laughed my ass off. It probably would have been me saying it, thinking all that through. But it's wild. It's absolutely insane to me that this is the path that the Canucks have gone on, and it's not getting any better. It's an issue of management and ownership, and not building a team that is remotely competitive. They are 2-7-1 in the last 10. And in the last 10 games, they've been shut out by the Red Wings, had a fantastic game against the Wild, which it's an anomaly of a game, because it was on the second half of a back-to-back. They played well against the Mammoth, but the Mammoth just won. Lost to the Avalanche, lost to the Kings, lost to the Sharks, beat the Ducks. Like, the Sharks shouldn't be beating us. On paper, the Sharks shouldn't be beating us. The way the season's gone, every team should be beating us. It's more of a shock when you get a 4-2 win against the Wild than it is to see a 4-0 loss against the Red Wings. It's and maybe I had pause there because I'm thinking maybe it's not so much about the fact that on paper we should be beating these teams. Maybe on paper we shouldn't be beating these teams, and maybe Adam Foote wasn't the right guy for this choice. And the fact that how are the Abbotsford Canucks doing? I just want to I have a hypothesis. I just want to see something here. Abbotsford AHL standings. Come on, computer. Because if that is the case, the Abbotsford Canucks, no, they're dead last. 5-15-1. I was going to say maybe I'll just start watching the Abbotsford Canucks and watching future head coach of your Vancouver Canucks, Manny Malhotra. But I mean, I can't blame them. They've had their entire roster mangled by people coming up and playing. I mean, Linus Karlsson, Atu Ratu, Archie Baines, Max Hassan. The fact that Lucas Reichel hasn't been sent back down is shocking to me. But then they've also lost Tom Willander, Elias Pettersson, Tolopilo's been, and what's the other guy's name? Tolopilo and Yuri Patera have been up and down out of the NHL team as well. So I don't really blame the Abbotsford Canucks, but I wonder if management and the organization is wondering if they made the wrong decision with Adam Foote and Manny Malhotra, and if it was a better call to maybe give Malhotra a shot at this team. But who knows? I mean, maybe this is a blessing in disguise for Malhotra for not having to go through this type of season. It could have been any coach that walked in here could have had this type of season, but I think Adam Foote is going to be wearing it, and I don't see him back as a coach next year. I think if your thought process is to tank the rest of the year, is you keep him in place until the last couple of weeks. You don't do what we did with Bruce Boudreau, bringing him in and getting that new coach bump and pushing us out of a nice draft position to middle of the road again. But I mean, it's the Canucks. That's what's going to happen. In the world of CFL, I want to talk about the schedule release. CFL schedule release was, I don't even remember when it was released, but either way, we have the announcement. Week 1 starts June 4th with Montreal taking on Hamilton, Winnipeg taking on Calgary, and Edmonton taking on Ottawa. BC gets the bye in week 1 and I believe week 6. So both their byes are done before halfway through the season. Still lots of pieces moving within that area, but lots of free agent news to be coming. I'm going to be wrapping up here rather shortly just because I don't want you guys to be stuck listening to me forever. It's also hard to talk as much as I talk, as long as I talk, with no real points, no real back and forth right now. So, what I suggest you go do is if you go to hughesports.ca, they'll take you to our brand new Substack. I just posted an article there yesterday talking about the CFL and the salaries and how it should be public and how it's better for all teams to be public in comparison to what the secrecy, the shadiness that the CFL kind of does things, and how much better it would be for us in the offseason to be able to compare players and talk about things and roster construct and again, just keep up with things like we do when we're talking Vancouver Canucks and rebuilding. Like, what does that look like? I think it's the CFLPA has already talked about the fact that they're open to discussing disclosures in salaries, and I think if the league wants to keep moving forward into the into the forefront. I don't even know forefront, but if they want to be align themselves, that's what might be a better word. Align themselves with the rest of the CFL or the rest of the big four sports leagues in North America. Sales are just around the world. Disclosure of salaries is needed. But while you're at the Substack, you can put in your email address. You can get those sent to your email, as well as every new podcast sent directly to your email. You can listen to it everywhere you are. Eventually, we are going to be adding some more content there. The old man, and it's the fact it's December. It's going to be tougher for us to be able to put all those pieces together. But keep an eye out on that. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram. We don't really post on Instagram all that lot. Keep an eye on us on Twitter. We're very active on Twitter, Facebook as well at HSP_pod. And then Blue Sky. We have a new tag on Blue Sky and it is at hughesports.ca. So check us out there. I will let you guys go. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you here next week with the old man. Have yourselves a wonderful, fantastic week. Give us a 5-star review on all those platforms. Mwah. Goodbye.